With the release of the GoPro Max, the Qoocam 8K, and the imminent release of details of 3 new 360-degree cameras at CES on January 7th to 9th in Las Vegas from Insta360, Labpano and TechE, these are exciting times for all of us into 360 video and photography, including me and you. But in all the hype and product launches that seem to be crunching together in this increasingly competitive market segment, are 360 cameras being rushed to market too quickly? Or is this actually a process of continuous improvement, like Fujifilm use a Kaizen process? Make sure you stay tuned to the end, and I'll show you how I think a lot of these 360-degree camera companies these days are actively embracing this Kaizen philosophy and process with their new products. At the moment, I'm seeing lots of people really unhappy about how they think they've been promised one thing through the marketing of features of a camera, only to be really disappointed when they receive the camera, finding out that many of these features are still in development and will be coming soon, if at all. Add to the fact that perhaps they want to use it on a platform, Android, iOS, Mac or Windows, and the camera and its software isn't ready for that yet. Is this true? Are we seeing a whole group of consumers essentially being used as beta testers for a product which isn't as ready for market as we're used to getting? Well, I'm not sure. So I did some digging around the experience of people who had bought the recently released GoPro Max and Kandao Qoocam 8K to see if I can make any sense of what's going on. Hi, my name's Saab Johal and welcome to my channel, which is all about mobile video and photography and where my adventures take me and editing for great results. Please take a look around if you want to make sure you see more of my content on 360 and action cam videos, how I make these videos, some cool edits from places I travel to, and consider subscribing, please. Cheers. Okay, let's start with the GoPro Max. What's the user experience been like since this camera was launched? Well, first things first, it looks like the majority of people are happy with their choice and are shooting away with their GoPro Maxes. But there's no doubt that there's a sizable minority, no matter where you look, Facebook, Amazon reviews, YouTube, or the GoPro support forums, there looks like there's more than a regular number of issues that you see after a product launch and people are not happy about them. Now, there's no way I'm going to go through all the things that people have identified as problems with the GoPro Max, but here are some of the more common ones. No Windows editing software for GoPro Max footage, but it's available for Mac. Why still no option? Very limited frame rate options for 360 video. And the fact that you can't export 360 video to your phone, but have to go via a desktop workflow instead. Now, there's a whole lot more I could list, but what do the users have to say? Let's start with Facebook.
Is GoPro support a myth? GoPro Player crashes on my MacBook. Reported a couple of weeks ago with crash logs and lots of detail. First level support say they need to escalate it. Today the technical team tells me I need to update my Mac OS. It was already on the latest version. I wonder what's next. Turn it off and back on again?
Part of the issue seems to be that some people are experiencing pretty non-responsive support from GoPro themselves, or just flat out low levels of knowledge from their agents that are responding to people's issues. This is making some people really quite angry indeed.
You know what? Bleep GoPro. I've spent over $15,000 on their bleep over the years. I've been attaching GoPros to cars and trucks for years for my TV show shoots. Great action cams, but on the 360 side, it's been nothing but tra. Bought an Omni over 6K, paid over $1,000 for stitching software. Blah, 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 you get the message.
Now, to be fair, GoPro do look like they're trying to respond.
Hey, I am the engineering manager that oversees our engine for 360 and the mobile app and GoPro Player for Mac and soon to be Windows. I've been reading over your posts and I'm sorry you are having a bad experience with Omni. Omni software was very different than anything we have ever produced and didn't share anything with Fusion or Max and was developed by Color like Fusion Studio was. All the newest 360 support is now done by my team and we are committed to giving an amazing 360 editing and reframing experience to both mobile and desktop. Feel free to PM if there's anything I can do to help you with your problems.
Now maybe this starts to give us a clue about what might be happening. Different teams are involved in different parts of the development process and or for different products that the same user is using, which means that they might get what feels like an inconsistent level of service, features and reliability of the product if the parent company isn't careful. Now despite that, the problems seem pretty deep-seated with how GoPro have set up how some of the features work and how the output is encoded and manipulated.
The workflow is really chaotic and time consuming. I don't know how much time I wasted for rendering 360 files into equi-rectangular format which can be accepted by general social network.
So there are problems, which makes me wonder, are our expectations super high now? too high perhaps?
Amazed by the Max. With a regular GoPro, I could never grab one of my friends, falling twice and the other slaloming, and of course me riding. And all of that without aiming at someone in particular. Edit it in 10 minutes with the Android app.
Lots of people do seem to be relatively happy. This person isn't alone in their comments by any means. But we might also have to figure out who seems to be having problems here. Regular consumers versus prosumers for the GoPro Max. Let's check out the GoPro support forum to see if I can find out any more.
I bought GoPro Max 360 for about 1 week. I'm very disappointed that there are too many issues.
And here's the same user again.
2 weeks passed and I'm very regretful for buying this incomplete product. Can I return it? It is a very, very bad user experience. I found more issues in these days. How dare you launch an incomplete product?
Here's what I think might be going on. Maybe GoPro made the bet that most people are going to be happy and we can build the rest as we fly, but we need to get this out for the holidays. Maybe the marketing department holds sway over the engineers at GoPro, like many big companies these days who are influenced by the sales cycles of their products and big new developments, like Black Friday, for example. Now, sales up to and after Christmas for the New Year's sales are now falling behind Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which probably means that the product development cycle over the year is shortened. I think more and more companies are buying into a strategy better to sell for Black Friday and intensively develop the product between then and the new year. And that goes for 360 cameras too, except these are complicated pieces of electronic kit and can be something of a steep learning curve for consumers. Raise expectations too high about what can be possible after buying the camera and fail to meet these expectations and you can expect some pretty annoyed customers. Change the interface too much between launch and the final product and that's likely to be confusing and turn people off your entire brand, not just that product. It's a risky strategy to be sure. You might get some short-term gain, but what about the long-term reputation for your brand? Now, you might know more. Let me know in the comments if I've missed your issue out, what you intend to do with your camera too. So that's GoPro. What's going on over at Kandao, where they've launched what was termed their GoPro Max killer by many, the Qoocam 8K 360. If you want to find out more about this camera itself, there's lots about it, including my video up here. But for now, I want to focus on how people have been experiencing the camera and the workflow involved since it launched and started shipping about 3 weeks ago. Now, aside from the fact that a lot of people have been waiting for their orders to be fulfilled for some time now, I have no doubt that the good people at Kandao are trying really hard to get the firmware and software updates out to people as soon as possible so they can make the most of their cameras. However, a lot of people have been disappointed by the level of software support associated with the camera on release. For example, having to use a test flight version of the iOS app in beta, which should be officially released in the next week or so, I'm told. And the fact that there is no Mac support yet, which is a major reason why I haven't added myself to the list of people who have ordered this camera yet. So what are people saying on the Qoocam 8K Facebook page? Here's an unhappy customer to start with.
Just a little update on my plan to return the Qoocam 8K. Well, today I plan to ship the camera back to Hong Kong to take advantage of the 7-day return policy. Well, I was shocked to say the least at what it would cost to send it back. I'm in the USA and the very cheapest way to send it back was $120 and the most expensive being around $200 to $270. Well, long story short, the bottom line is after finding this out, I will keep the camera and hope for the best in software firmware development. I need to find a workflow that will work for me. Update to the update, sold the camera to another wanting it, saved me some shipping charges and made him a good deal on a new camera with selfie stick. Win-win, I suppose. Lesson learned on my part, wait a few months when a new camera comes out before inadvertently volunteering to be a beta tester.
So, clearly not happy at receiving what they think is a camera that has not been completed yet and is ready for market. There are a lot of people who are clearly nervous at other people's experience, but who are reassured perhaps by what they are hearing on the Facebook group.
Hello everybody. I'm getting so worried that I've ordered the Qoocam 8K. Whether it's the fan that is too loud or the stitching line and the panoramas, which you can often see very clearly. Since I know that bad news spreads faster on Facebook than good news, I would like to ask you to comment on good reasons for my purchase. I could still cancel the order to buy the Obsidian Go. Kandao has been super responsive to bugs. They're putting out updates at least once a week and have several people on here to address issues and concerns.
So to sum up, some people really aren't happy, but from what I can see, it's a vocal minority who are rightly unhappy with what they've experienced. But generally, there seems to be a remarkable tolerance for what Kandao still needs to do to get this camera right. And I think that has a lot to do with how active employees at Kandao have been on the Facebook page trying to keep their users and potential customers informed and involved. Now, I'm not naive. I know that some of the people posting on the group might be influencers who have Kandao's back and are posting and working on solutions on their behalf. That's the reality of modern marketing, and we can't be certain exactly what's going on here. But here's my thoughts. If you look at Kaizen, one website says this: Kaizen is an approach to creating continuous improvement based on the idea that small ongoing positive changes can reap major improvements. Typically, it is based on cooperation and commitment and stands in contrast to approaches that use radical changes or top-down edicts to achieve transformation. So here's the thing. The difference between the GoPro and the Kandao approaches here, I think, are about cooperation and commitment. I think a lot of people have perceived GoPro to be a big corporate who have tried to market the new Max somewhat aggressively early to try to generate sales and commitment, but they haven't quite followed through on their post-launch development. Now compare and contrast that with the obvious multiple iterations with the Qoocam 8K software platforms and firmware updates just 3 weeks after launch. Sure, it's annoying for people who are still waiting for their camera, or for those who were led to expect a workflow that is a lot simpler and all the features to be enabled from the word go. And I think this is where Kandao can be fairly criticized. Despite their efforts to get things back on track, it sure is a big stack of work ahead of them. The thing about a Kaizen approach is that you need a good base starting point when you launch your product. And I think minimal viable product, which you could argue the Kandao Qoocam 8K to have been at launch, is too low a point to start with. We'll see how it affects their sales and ongoing trust in the marketplace. Let's hope they don't continue to receive the same amount of flack and criticism that GoPro is receiving right now. So whether you're a consumer or a prosumer, thanks so much for watching. Please give this video a like if you found it useful or interesting, and maybe consider subscribing for more of my content too. Here's some other of my videos of mine you might find interesting or useful. Please take a look around, and thanks for watching. Cheers and go well.